Good morning, beautiful souls. Happy Friday. It's Tim in the Woods. It's week 31. Week 31. I think you're going to have to put up with me remarking about what week it is for the rest of the year now. And eventually we'll get to week 52, won't we? And it'll be like, that'll be it. 2023 will be over. And I'm in a state of perpetual kind of admiration and astonishment for the speed at which this year has moved, and that would be the astonishment side of it, and admiration for what we've achieved as a light collective, and how we are embracing this new reality. A lot of you might be feeling that generally that you have no real choice in it, but you have had a choice. You've had a choice in every single thing that you are participating in, everything that you're experiencing. The whole procedure that we are working our way through at the moment is a finely tuned and very carefully orchestrated shift or transition. And I was talking about this in my workshop with Lavisa Alton, where we're working with the new facet of the violet flame of the one true heart, which, if you missed it, it was a beautiful event. And we're working with the violet flame, which one of the names that came to me for it was the seraphim flame, because it's so anchored in unconditional love, using love from the higher heart. And as many of you will be aware, we activated our fifth dimensional heart centers fully on a kind of like a worldwide level in 2017 and 2018. And in the process of doing so, we've been through multiple black nights of the soul, where again and again we are guided by our hearts to face the ego, and the ego comes up, and there's a shadow collective being very, very represented by the ego at the moment. We can see it everywhere. We can see it within media, within the kind of the carnival antics of the politicians and the behaviors that they promote, and anything that you can see that creates a group think or division from others. This is a creation of the matrix. So we're being asked to identify ourselves as different from other people, think different, believe in different things, have that boundaries of separation. The shadow, the visibility of this shadow has never been more obvious and so glaringly brightly placed in front of us than it is at the moment. And of course, it's down to us to set the platform or the tone of behavior as to how we deal with this, how we navigate it, how we alchemize it. And the violet flame of the one true heart is a flame which comes with a concept. Okay, we're now getting to the point of our ascension process where, like the energies that we are being given are such a vastly expansive version of the ones that we've been accustomed to, that they represent a very specific field of energy. And as Lavisa and I were explaining, and also how David explained in his wonderful workshop last night, the violet flame of the one true heart and the higher heart are facets of the wonderful golden future that we are working towards. But the actual way that this energy works, the higher heart energy, is something that we are going to have to navigate and almost get used to. We've been we've spent a long time on this planet in a state of division. We divide our properties, we divide our countries, we represent our land, our territory with flags. You know, we defend this from the invaders, and all of these, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, there's politics, there's race, there's different types of education, there's religion, and like, look at the way it has all been structured, and then imagine what happens when those structures collapse, when the boundaries and the walls just melt away and everything merges together in a state of acceptance. We're a long way away from that at the moment. Human conditioning and the belief of separation has been so ingrained within us on a survival level. Now, when you talk about survival programming, you are talking about you are dealing with instinct. You are dealing with the instinct that a human being has innately developed in order to protect itself. And so, say 2,000 years ago, if you didn't defend your house, if you didn't defend your territory, then you would indeed wind up in a state. You'd lose your life, your property, or anything else. Where we're going in the future, we are going to be asked to accept that this will no longer be an issue. And for some of us, I think that is going to be one of the toughest initiations, to let our guard down, to actually finally declare to ourselves that we are safe. Just imagine for a moment, if you will, take a few deep breaths in through your nose, activate the heart center, out through your mouth. You've probably done this with me before, and if you haven't, you are just breathing into your fifth dimensional heart center and activating it. It's only a quick exercise, and just do this a few times, activating the heart center until it turns into a beautiful ball of white, pink, gold light. And as the heart expands, it begins to mix and merge with the very, very active higher heart. Some of you might identify with it as a thymus, but the higher heart is a bright aquamarine center which is connected to the portals of light in the cosmos, or particularly the cosmic heart, where the unconditional love flows without any barriers. And just start to sense and feel your heart mixing and merging with the higher heart until you're surrounded in a ball of light, and just rest within that for a moment. Now imagine, with your eyes closed, as you reside within the heart, having nothing to fear, nothing to be fearful of, no enemy patterning, nothing that will threaten you, nothing that you have to defend yourself from, not words, not actions, not physical invasion of space, nothing. Just rest within that for a moment and just declare yourself in this heart center, in this heart light, that you are completely safe. How does it feel? Just allow yourself to do this for a few moments. And as you do, as you reside within your heart center, what aspects of you are responding to this? What natural instincts may you have within you that are kind of cropping up saying, you're not safe? Or, well, what about this? Or, but what if that happens? Just take note of yourself and your instincts and your programming and your personal experiences, and just observe. And as you're observing, ask your heart and your higher heart to take over. Ask the energy from the aquamarine of your higher heart, infused with Universal Angel Mary, Beloved Mary, Mother of Jesus, and many other countless souls filled with unconditional love that are working directly with you. Just feel that aquamarine, gold, white and pink light filling your fields. And put your heart and your higher heart in charge of your personal surroundings, the things that interact with you and that you interact with. And just say these words to yourself. I am living love. I am safe in the loving arms of the universe. I am living love. I am safe in the loving arms of the universe. I am living love. I am safe in the loving arms of the universe. And just take note as to the effect that this has on your bodies and fields, your nervous system. You might audibly and physically feel a sigh of relief from your bodies and your fields and your nervous system. Everything around you just kind of relaxing, going into a state of peace. Now, we have been in that state of heightened self-preservation for a long time now. The perceived threats of everything around us have been increasing exponentially, particularly over the last 3 years or so. And I think the trick as we move through this Lionsgate is going to be to learn the art of relaxing into this, to handing it over, to begin to trust in our abilities as light workers, as a collective, to provide the platform of safety that we all feel that we need within our hearts, to move out of that triggered survival state, to move into the beginnings of the fifth dimensional consciousness, where we co-create together from a point of unity as opposed to a point of separation. Now, this goes all the way through every facet of our lives, and you can see the behavior patterns being displayed, particularly amongst, it doesn't just, I'm not just talking to kind of what we would regard as 3D society here, amongst kind of the learned and illumined light ranks, the separation, the spiritual competition, the division, the paranoia. All of this is becoming very much a visible shadow for us to integrate at the moment. But I just want to bring our collective attention to the fact that one day we're going to have to let this go, and that we are going to be from the point at which we collectively decide in a space of safety. There will be no more need to fight. There will be no more need to self-preserve. There will be an abundance of everything that we need available to us on a self-sufficient level, because at the moment the majority of society is completely reliant on the collective state to provide it. So we've got some changes to make, but I genuinely, sincerely believe that once we all put our hearts and our souls into the arms of this shift fully, that all of this will begin to flow in the direction within which it is intended. So I'm talking about this morning because I observed so intricately the reactions within myself when I began to work with this energy, the violet flame of the one true heart that Lavisa identified that was coming through, this higher facet of ourselves, and just how much work that we've got to do. And I know you probably listening to this thinking, oh my God, I've done so much work. How much more work do I have to do? Well, that is down to us, because jobs, tasks, initiations, the things that we are presented with are usually made a lot more difficult by our personal resistance to them, or maybe our inability to recognise the patterns, the repetitions, the things that we all go through on a regular basis. The faster we learn to navigate the shadow aspects of ourselves, the quicker and the more harmoniously this will all fall into place. But like I said at the beginning, you might feel a little bit like this is being kind of sprung upon you, like it's a bit of a forced process at the moment. And on a conscious kind of living in the real world kind of way, it has, because we are unaware the majority of the time of the plans that we've made, the agreements and the contracts that we've signed, the souls that we're working with. And so all of this goes on behind the scenes in the higher realms, in kind of the unconscious aspects of us, so that we have the pleasure of learning to navigate it in what we would regard as real time, the here and now. Because if we knew what was going on, it wouldn't be a lesson, would it? So we are days away from the Lionsgate. We're days away from the 8-8 portal, and this year has felt different to me. And I said this in my last update. It's felt different because I feel very strongly that the energy has already been implemented, that July was the point in time which everything was put in place as an energy structure, and we are the ones that are now kind of keeping step, keeping up, making the adjustments. So I think a beautiful practice to involve ourselves with as we move through the Lionsgate, however we are individually celebrating it, whether we are celebrating it and anchoring in and working as an individual or as a group, is to begin to work on the concept of being safe in this world. Okay, imagine, or not just imagine, begin to manifest the vision of the golden future of this planet, living in harmony with no threats. Okay, one of the defining energy structures of 5D will be the complete lack of necessity for protecting ourselves in the way that we used to. There will be, at a higher consciousness, and this might be, so again, I've had to think about this, I've had to remind myself, at a higher level, at a higher consciousness, there is no version of the ego which requires the competition that we've been used to, the having to defend, having to guard resources, having to create boundaries, because everybody is functioning from the heart. I'm going to leave you with that today. Imagine and visualize and create and manifest a world, or at least begin to dive into the concept of what life will be like at 5D when we've all stepped into the heart, when all of the structures around us that are designed to create division have fallen away. I think you might find that we've got some work to do, we've got some healing to do on that front, because we have been raised and schooled in a dimensional space that requires us to be completely in a state of self-defense at all times. And so we're witnessing all of these shadows coming up, particularly as we move through Lionsgate. But we are closer to this heart-centered unity, this higher unity, this loving consciousness than we think. It might seem that this is just a future, fanciful imagination, but it's not. Because so many millions, if not billions of people now are beginning to step into the heart center, and immediately that happens, the timeline, the platform of energy, the structures that are supported by that energy will alter to fit the picture. Food for thought. And the next time, well, in fact, I'll be back on Monday with the Monday meditation, but on the 8th of the 8th, I am joined by my brother David Essery, and we're going to be celebrating the Lionsgate. We're diving into the Lion's core. The details for that event will be in the text on this video, and I'll look forward to seeing you there. Sending you all so much love. Bye for now.